Let me ask you something. Have you ever had that gut feeling that he's more into you than he lets on? Like you can feel it, but for some reason he just won't admit it? Maybe he texts you first, gets jealous when you mention another guy, or always makes time for you. But when it comes to actually saying how he feels, crickets, silence, nothing. Here's the truth. Men don't always hide their emotions because they don't have them. Most of the time they hide them because they feel safer staying in control. That's where reverse psychology comes in. It's not about games. It's about understanding how the male mind works and using that to gently lead him to admit the very thing he's afraid to say out loud. So if you've ever wondered, why does he act obsessed but denies it? What would make him finally open up and say it? How do I make him feel it's his idea to confess? Then don't move. This video is going to unlock a completely new way to get into his head, ethically, playfully, and powerfully. By the end, you'll know exactly how to flip the script and get him to tell you how much he wants you, without ever begging, chasing, or asking. Let's start with what he's really afraid of, and how you can use that to your advantage. Stay with me. It gets powerful from here. So let's talk about reverse psychology, and not the kind you learned about in a textbook. This is the real-world version, the kind that works in emotional dynamics, especially in dating and relationships. Reverse psychology, at its core, is when you encourage someone to do the opposite of what you actually want, knowing they'll naturally resist, and in that resistance, end up doing exactly what you were hoping for. But in relationships, it's way more subtle than just saying, "Oh, don't fall in love with me," and hoping he will. Here's how it really works. When someone feels they're being pulled towards something, emotionally, romantically, even sexually, but they sense no pressure from the other person, they start to wonder why. Why aren't you chasing? Why aren't you seeking validation or reassurance? Why do you seem so grounded, calm, and unbothered? And that is the seed of obsession. Reverse psychology in dating is about using the unexpected to disrupt his emotional pattern. Instead of proving your worth, you withdraw your need for his validation. Instead of trying to get closer, you lean back, not to play hard to get, but to create space that he instinctively wants to close. Men are wired to pursue what they don't fully understand, and to value what they choose without pressure. So when you pull back your emotional energy, just slightly, you're not rejecting him. You're allowing him to step into the role of the pursuer. And once he does that on his own, it no longer feels like manipulation. It feels real. It feels like his choice. That's the key to reverse psychology in relationships. You don't control the outcome. You influence the environment, and let him walk right into the realization you already knew. It's not about playing games. It's about understanding desire on a deeper level, and letting him convince himself of how much he wants you. And trust me, he will. If there's one emotion that flips the switch, that turns casual interest into full-blown obsession, it's not love, it's not lust, it's uncertainty. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is just about playing hard to get, stay with me, because this goes deeper than surface-level dating advice. We're talking about how the male brain is wired to respond to emotional contrast. Here's what I mean. When a man feels certainty too quickly, when he believes he has you figured out, knows where he stands, and feels like there's no mystery left, the reward center in his brain starts to shut down. Not because he doesn't like you, but because there's no chase, no story, no tension to resolve. But when he feels a touch of uncertainty, when he's not entirely sure how you feel, or whether he's winning you over, it creates a psychological gap. And our brains are wired to want to close those gaps. That small dose of unpredictability, it becomes a loop in his mind. He replays your words. He overanalyzes your text. He tells himself, "She's different. I can't read her. I need to figure this out." And suddenly, you're living rent-free in his head. This doesn't mean being cold, manipulative, or distant. In fact, obsession happens when a man feels emotionally activated, when he experiences highs and lows, softness and strength, warmth and space. That contrast keeps him emotionally alert, and emotional alertness creates attachment. Think about it. The strongest emotional memories in life come from moments of intensity, not neutrality. So if every interaction with you feels emotionally rich, even if he can't always predict it, he'll associate you with something powerful and unforgettable. That's why the key emotion that makes him obsessed isn't comfort. It's emotional curiosity. He starts wondering, what is she thinking? Why do I miss her more today? Why does her energy stay with me? That kind of mental loop doesn't come from constantly affirming your feelings. It comes from letting him feel the absence of your energy just enough that he starts chasing it, craving it. Because obsession isn't built on constant access, it's built on contrast, on space, on that subtle emotional tug of war that makes him feel like you're the one he has to earn, not the one who's already his. And once he feels that, he won't be able to stop thinking about you. There's a moment in every connection, a very specific window, where you can say something so subtle, yet so emotionally charged, that it makes a man feel safe enough to open up and uncertain enough to need clarity. That's what I call the confession trigger. It's not a question. It's not a demand. It's not even a direct conversation about emotions. It's a mirror, one that quietly reflects his own behavior back to him in a way that makes him pause, take inventory, and ask himself, wait, do I actually feel more than I've admitted? Here's how it works. Instead of asking, do you like me? Or what are we? Which can make him feel cornered. You drop a line that implies you've noticed his intensity, while also implying you're not quite sure what it means. Something like, you act like a man who's trying really hard not to care but failing. Or you say you're chill about this but your actions, they tell a different story. These kinds of statements are powerful for two reasons. First, they remove the pressure. You're not asking him to explain himself. You're simply observing, casually, calmly, almost playfully. Second, they plant a seed. They challenge him in a way that makes him want to clarify where he stands, not for your sake, but to reclaim control over his own emotional narrative. Men are more likely to confess their feelings when they think the truth is already showing. When they sense that you've seen through the mask, they have two options: retreat or step forward and own it. The confession trigger works best when it comes after a moment of connection, a slightly vulnerable conversation, a quiet night together, or even just a text that lingers. You drop it in, let it hang in the air, and then you don't chase it. You let the silence do the work. The real magic is in what happens after. He might not say something immediately, but you'll notice the shift. He'll text more. He'll ask deeper questions. He might even circle back hours or days later to say something like, you know what you said the other night? You were kind of right. And that's the moment he starts letting his guard down. Not because you asked for more, but because he felt compelled to give it. That's the confession trigger. Subtle, honest, emotionally loaded, but never desperate. It's the doorway that turns silence into admission and curiosity into obsession. When it comes to making him confess what he feels, your words matter far less than your energy. Because here's the truth. People don't respond to what you say. They respond to how they feel around you. And your body language, your micro expressions, your tone, your pauses, speaks louder than anything you could ever verbalize. You've probably heard that attraction is 90% nonverbal. But what most people don't realize is how powerfully energy shifts can change the emotional current between you and a man. Let's start with something simple. The pause. When you're talking to him, instead of rushing to fill every silence, allow pauses. That silence is where tension lives. It's where his brain starts processing you. Most women try to keep a man engaged by talking more, but mystery doesn't come from words. It comes from restraint. When you let your energy rest in silence, he leans in, literally. His body will shift closer, his tone will soften, because silence makes him chase the moment again. Next, your body orientation. When you face him directly the entire time, it signals openness, yes, but also predictability. Every now and then, break that alignment. Turn slightly away, look down, touch your hair, or adjust your drink. Small natural movements that say, you don't fully have my attention. That tiny bit of inaccessibility creates curiosity. Curiosity feeds attraction. Now let's talk about eye contact. Prolonged eye contact isn't just about connection, it's about control. When you hold eye contact for just a second longer than expected, then look away slowly, it creates a psychological jolt. His nervous system reads it as both intimacy and loss, a micro high and low. That contrast makes him feel drawn to you, even if he can't explain why. The key here is emotional rhythm. Shift between being warm and engaged to being calm and distant, between laughing openly and simply watching him with quiet eyes. These energy shifts keep him attuned to you. He starts matching your tone, your pace, your breathing, because humans subconsciously mirror what they're magnetized by. And the moment he starts mirroring you, you're in control of the emotional frequency. So remember this, you don't have to perform to attract him. The most magnetic women don't chase attention. They control the tempo of connection. Their body language whispers, I'm open but not available. I'm intrigued but not invested. That balance, that emotional rhythm, is what drives a man crazy. It makes him obsessed, not just with your looks, but with your presence. Because in his mind, he's not just drawn to you. He's addicted to how he feels when your energy shifts. Okay, let's pause for a second and talk about what not to do. Because no matter how magnetic your energy is, no matter how well you use reverse psychology or emotional contrast, there are a few subtle mistakes that will instantly shut him down, or worse, push him away entirely. And the most frustrating part, these mistakes are usually made with good intentions. The first one, over-explaining your emotions. A lot of women think that vulnerability means spelling everything out. So they say things like, I just want to be honest. I really like you. I don't know where we stand. I need clarity. Sounds honest, right? But here's the problem. When you put all your cards on the table before he's even picked up his deck, he doesn't feel inspired to match you. He feels cornered, pressured. And a man who feels emotionally cornered is a man who starts emotionally retreating. The next mistake, trying to force connection before it's real. This looks like imagining a future with him too soon, constantly needing reassurance, or initiating deep conversations he hasn't earned yet. Emotional intensity is powerful, but when it's unbalanced, it feels like weight, not chemistry. Men fall harder when they feel like they're slowly unwrapping a mystery, not reading the final chapter before chapter 1. Another huge mistake, responding to his silence with pursuit. This one is tough, especially when you really like him. He starts pulling back, maybe takes longer to reply, or seems distant, and your instinct says, reach out, say something, fix it. But the second you chase that distance, you confirm that he can have you without effort, that he can pull away and you'll come closer. That's the opposite of magnetic. It creates a power imbalance that's hard to come back from. One more, playing cool when you're actually anxious, trying to act unbothered when you're actually emotionally invested doesn't work. Not because men can't read it, but because you start sending mixed signals. Your energy becomes inconsistent, and he feels it. Authenticity doesn't mean oversharing. It means being aligned with your own standards. You don't have to act cool if you're clear. Calm confidence is far more powerful than pretending not to care. At the end of the day, the biggest mistake that pushes a man away is chasing certainty from him before you've built it within yourself. Men are drawn to women who are self-secure, emotionally balanced, and a little unpredictable. Not chaotic, just unexpected. He needs to feel like he's discovering you, not like you're handing yourself over in hopes that he'll stay. So don't try to be perfect, just be intentional, strategic, and most importantly, in control of your own emotional energy. That's the woman he can't forget. Timing is everything, especially when it comes to emotional pull, because pulling back too early can come off as disinterest. And pulling back too late, that's when he already knows he has you, and the effect is lost. So when is the perfect time to pull back? It's simple, right after he gives you something emotionally significant, not before, not during, but after. Here's why. When a man opens up, when he compliments you, makes a vulnerable comment, initiates plans, or even shows jealousy, he's revealing emotional investment. And in that exact moment, his nervous system is exposed. He's feeling something deeper. His guard is temporarily down. Most women, in that moment, lean in. They get excited. They match his vulnerability with even more attention. And while that's a beautiful instinct, it's not what creates tension. What actually imprints on his brain is this: giving you something emotionally and then feeling the space that follows. It creates a loop in his mind. Did she feel the same? Why didn't she react more? Does she need more from me? And just like that, he's thinking about you more than ever before. Pulling back after he gives, even slightly, makes him chase the emotional thread he just opened. It signals to his subconscious that your validation isn't guaranteed, that getting closer to you requires consistent effort, not just a single act of vulnerability. This doesn't mean disappearing, being cold, or punishing him. It means shifting your energy just enough that he notices. Maybe you take longer to respond. Maybe you don't match his emotional tone right away. Maybe you say something playful like, "That's sweet of you, but I'm still figuring you out." Small moves, big impact. The key here is contrast. If you were warm, pull into neutral. If you were consistently available, become selectively available. If you were expressive, become a little more mysterious. Let him miss your energy while it's still valuable to him, not when he's already taken it for granted. Because men don't fall when they get what they want. They fall when they realize they want more, and aren't sure if they've earned it yet. That window, right after he shows real interest, is your moment. That's when pulling back won't make him confused. It'll make him obsessed. It's when you become unforgettable. Not because you gave him more, but because you knew when to give a little less. That's the moment he starts leaning in, and he won't stop until he knows exactly where he stands with you. Silence. It's one of the most underused and most powerful tools in attraction. Most people are afraid of it. They rush to fill the gaps. Say something, anything, just to avoid the discomfort. But here's the secret. Silence creates tension. And tension, when it's intentional, creates chemistry. Let's get one thing clear. Silence doesn't mean ignoring him. It's not about playing games or being passive-aggressive. It's about understanding the power of presence without pressure. When you're silent at just the right moment, it does three things. First, it shifts the emotional dynamic. It disrupts his pattern. If he's used to you responding instantly, laughing right away, or always keeping the conversation going, your silence sends a signal. You're not in control of my attention anymore. Second, silence allows his thoughts to get louder. When you stop talking, he starts thinking. He begins filling in the blanks, analyzing your energy, wondering what you're thinking, and most importantly, questioning how you feel about him in that moment. And third, silence draws him in. Humans are drawn to whatever creates curiosity. When you hold eye contact and say nothing, when you pause after he says something vulnerable, when you let a moment hang in the air just a little longer than usual, it makes his heart beat just a little faster. That's tension, that's emotional pull, and you didn't have to say a word. So the next time you feel that urge to fill the space, stop, breathe, let the silence sit, let him lean into it. Because sometimes the most attractive thing you can say is nothing at all. Every connection starts with a single seed, something small, subtle, but incredibly powerful. That seed, it's the first hint of obsession. Not in a creepy way, but that magnetic pull that makes him think about you long after you've said goodbye. Planting that obsession seed is about more than just being attractive or interesting. It's about triggering a feeling inside him that's irresistible, a feeling that makes him want to come back again and again, to figure you out, to be near you, to invest his time and energy into you. So how do you do it? It starts with creating emotional curiosity. Leave just enough unsaid. Drop little hints about your life, your thoughts, or your feelings, without explaining everything. When you share a story or a secret, stop before the end. Let him wonder what happens next, or what you really meant. You're not playing hard to get. You're simply inviting him into your world, but on your terms. Next, show him moments of genuine interest. Ask about his dreams, his fears, his passions. But don't dive in head first. Ask just enough to make him feel seen, but then shift the energy back to yourself. This creates a natural ebb and flow, a rhythm that keeps him on his toes. Also, sprinkle in unpredictability. Maybe one day you're warm and glowing, the next you're a bit more reserved. Maybe you surprise him with a message or a playful comment out of the blue. This keeps his brain engaged because it's always guessing what you'll do next. Here's the magic: obsession grows when he chooses to chase you, not because you're constantly chasing him. When you plant the seed correctly, he's not just interested, he's invested. He starts replaying your conversations, noticing your energy, imagining moments with you. That mental loop is powerful. It's the foundation of obsession. And remember, planting the seed isn't about rushing the relationship or forcing feelings. It's about being intentional with your presence and energy, letting him want more without ever feeling pressured. So plant your seed wisely, light, subtle, and full of mystery, and watch as he becomes drawn to you in ways you never thought possible. So you've planted the seed, You've pulled back just enough. You've used silence and energy shifts to keep him guessing. But how do you really know if it's working? How can you tell when he's starting to admit, even to himself, that he's obsessed with you? First, pay attention to how often he initiates contact. When a man starts texting or calling without prompting, it's a clear sign he's thinking about you. It's no longer a question of does he want to talk, but when he's going to reach out next. That eagerness is your emotional win. Next, watch his energy when you're together. Does he lean in? Does his body language soften and become more attentive? Is there a subtle shift where he seems a bit more nervous or excited around you? These micro changes mean he's emotionally invested, and that nervous energy is often a sign of a growing obsession. Another major sign is how he talks about you to others, friends, family, even strangers. If he brings you up frequently or tries to include you in his world, he's mentally weaving you into his future. That's not casual interest. That's attachment forming. Also, notice if he starts showing little signs of vulnerability. Maybe he shares something personal, admits a fear, or asks for your opinion on deeper matters. When a man lowers his guard around you, it means he trusts you, and trust is the foundation of emotional obsession. You might also see him mirroring your habits or interests unconsciously. Suddenly, he likes your favorite music, tries your go-to coffee order, or picks up on your jokes. This mirroring is his brain's way of building connection and signaling, I want to belong with you. Lastly, if he ever directly or indirectly hints at his feelings, even through teasing, playful comments, or casual confessions, that's your cue. He's testing the waters, ready to admit what's been growing inside. Remember, obsession isn't about desperate declarations or rushed confessions. It's subtle, consistent, and undeniable. When you see these signs, you know your reverse psychology trick is working its magic. And trust me, once he's caught in that loop, there's no turning back. You've learned a powerful truth today, that making him admit he's obsessed with you isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about understanding the psychology of connection, owning your emotional energy, and knowing exactly when to lean in and when to pull back. Remember, attraction isn't a formula you force. It's a dance, a dynamic flow between two people, where timing, energy, and intention create magic. The reverse psychology trick works because it puts you in the driver's seat. It lets you create tension and curiosity. Instead of chasing validation or trying to get answers prematurely, you become the mystery he wants to solve, the presence he can't stop thinking about. But here's the most important part. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about amplifying your natural confidence and knowing your worth. When you respect your own energy and set boundaries, he'll respect you more, and respect. That's the foundation of deep, lasting obsession. So what's your next move? Start by tuning into his signals. Those little signs that tell you he's hooked. Then practice pulling back strategically when he gives emotionally, letting silence and energy shifts work their magic. And most importantly, stay grounded in your own value. Keep your life full, your goals clear, and your emotions balanced. Because a woman who's fully herself, who's mysterious but real, confident but kind, is absolutely irresistible. You've got the tools now. Use them wisely, not to control him, but to create a connection where he chooses you, every time. And if you want to dive deeper into mastering these dynamics, I've got plenty more videos coming your way. Make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join the community of women taking their relationships to the next level. Remember, this is your story, and you're writing the most magnetic chapter yet. Thank you for watching. I can't wait to see how you take this next step.